And so, moving on, we are very fortunate today to have Claudia Flores with us, and she is going to talk to us about the changes that came through this last legislative session of our General Assembly here in Virginia. And retired Navy Commander Claudia Flores began her career as an enlisted cryptologist before earning her commission as an intel officer. Her assignments include working at Combatant Commands, National Security Agency, the Office of Naval Intelligence, the Joint Staff, and combat deployment aboard the aircraft carrier, the Dwight D. Eisenhower. She began her career with the Virginia Department of Veterans Services in 2017 as a Veterans Service Representative, connecting Virginia veterans and their families to benefits and services earned but not utilized. She became a regional director for the Northern and Eastern regions, managing more than 15 offices. Most recently, she served as the Deputy Director of Benefits, supporting the director and the management and operation of 34 DVS offices throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. She is now the Director of Policy and Planning, under which legislative affairs occurs. She also does policy and budget development as well as strategic planning. She's a real expert in Virginia on veteran and military benefits, and we're very lucky to have her. She holds a bachelor's degree in political science and a master's in business administration, and is currently working on her PhD in public administration. And without any further ado, the Director of Policy and Planning for the Virginia Department of Veterans Services, Commander Claudia Flores.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Leigh, for that introduction. I'm very honored to be here among a distinguished group of folks, business leaders, veterans, listening to your introductions. This is an amazing group, so thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. I'm going to pull up my slideshow. We practiced this right before this meeting started, so praying it still works. Let me get this set for you. Okay. What would it be without a few technical issues? One more time. And it went away. Okay, so while I'm sorry, Andrea, can you help me out and pull up the slides? I apologize. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about our department. We're a state agency, the Virginia Department of Veterans Services. We're a state government agency. We have several service lines that I'll discuss in here in a moment. Andrea, are you able to help me out?
Yep, I'm working on it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, continue with what you were saying, Claudia. I have to pull it up myself.
Sure. So the Virginia Department of Veterans Services, our mission statement, and you'll see this on the first slide when we get it pulled up. Our primary mission is to get veterans, the transitioning service members, and their families to stay, work, and thrive in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So that includes all the transitioning service members. We want them to stay here in Virginia. Our veterans and anybody who's left the state of Virginia, we want to bring them back to the Commonwealth of Virginia. And we work hard on that. We have several service lines in our agency. One of them is the benefits service line. Thank you, Andrea. There you go. Thank you. One of them is the benefits service line. And that's where I began my career with this agency. We help veterans with their disability compensation claims or pension claims and connect them with benefits that they've earned. Our Virginia Family and Veteran Support Service line, we connect veterans to community resources who might be struggling with issues such as mental health, housing, finance. We operate 2 care centers, one in Richmond, one in Roanoke, and we have 2 additional care centers coming online this fall. We're looking forward to that, one in Virginia Beach and one in Fauquier County. We also have the Virginia War Memorial. We operate 3 state cemeteries, And we have transition and education employment services. And I'm glad Letty mentioned the B3 program. That is one of our programs that we run and operate, and we're excited about that. We do certify companies, and it's a connection for veterans to employment. And we, through the certification process, we teach companies the value of hiring our veterans. And in fact, the governor was just at a V3 employment ceremony at Walmart, because Walmart is now a V3 certified company, and he presented that certificate earlier this week. So that was exciting to see. Next slide, please. This is just a slide to show you that we are all over the Commonwealth. We do have 34 offices. I also wanted to highlight that during COVID, although our offices shut down, we remained open for business virtually. We continue to service our veterans through a virtual environment. And I bring that up to say that although we're back in the offices providing in-person services by walk-ins, appointments, we still offer a virtual option for those veterans who are not comfortable coming to see us in person or don't have a way to come see us. So we still are here virtually, and on our website, folks can schedule appointments. So on to the next slide. I'm going to dive into some of the military and veteran bills that came out of the 2022 session. I'm not going to cover all of them, but I will give you a highlight of some of the bills. So we can go on to the next slide. Okay, let's begin with the Suicide Prevention Coordinator that was created in House Bill 1203. It's a position within our own department, the Department of Veteran Services. We're excited about this new position and this new program. This person will gather data on mental health challenges commonly experienced by military service members, veterans, and their family. They will work with federal and local and state partners to increase mental health, substance abuse, and suicide risk screenings. And they will refer military service members and veterans and their families to the appropriate behavioral health and medical professional and services. They will also provide suicide prevention resources and training and support to federal, state, and local agencies. This is a brand new position, and we are in the process of hiring this individual. So we look forward to bringing them aboard and having them begin this program. The next is the Virginia Military Survivor Independence Education Program. This is not a new program. It's already been established. And for those qualified survivors and dependents, they are guaranteed a waiver of all tuition and mandatory fees for 8 semesters at a Virginia public college or university and Eastern Virginia Medical School. Now, I will let you know who qualifies for this. It's for a spouse or child between the ages of 16 and 29 of a military service member, active duty member, reserve, or National Guard who was killed in action, or a child or spouse dependent of a veteran who is rated at least 90% permanent. And although there's really not a permanent rating at 90%, the code language says 90% permanent. That means that the veteran would be a 90% disability rating, and there's no VA opportunity to lower that rating. So those are the folks that qualify currently. This legislation, Senate Bill 768, extended the eligibility to a stepchild of a deceased military service member who was killed in action. So that service member would have claimed that stepchild prior to their passing, either on their tax return or their defense enrollment eligibility reporting system, otherwise known as DEERS. Again, this stepchild is currently, that legislation is just for a deceased military service member. There's still work to do to get stepchildren of veterans also qualified. Okay, next slide. There was some legislation that went through for the National Guard. I've highlighted 2 of them. One of them has to do with recruitment through House Bill 210 and Senate Bill 256. There was already a grant program established for National Guard members attending a public institution of higher education. This grant program provides grant money to the member to pay for the difference between full tuition and what they might already be receiving in educational benefits. But this legislation that passed this year allows the Department of Military Affairs, under the discretion of the Adjutant General, to use some of that grant funding for recruiting National Guard members. And then leave of absence. It increased the number of days that a service member, such as a National Guard member, who's also an employee of the Commonwealth, can take a military leave of absence. It increased it from 15 to 21 days. So that was good news for our National Guard. The Virginia Military Community Infrastructure Grant Program established through House Bill 354 and Senate Bill 315. This is a fund that was established to be used by the governor to support military communities in the Commonwealth by awarding grants to aid the planning and design, construction, or completion of infrastructure projects that enhance military readiness, installation resiliency, or quality of life for military communities. This program, this grant fund program, is being developed, and the criteria for application is being worked right now through the Secretary of Veterans and Defense Affairs. Okay. Next slide. If you could go back one for me, please. And there you go. So this is one of the popular bills this session, the military income tax benefit subtraction. It was introduced through House Bill 1128 and Senate Bill 528. The House bill and the Senate bill differed when they were introduced. Both bills passed their own chamber, went into crossover, and then went into conference. The conference committee report is the language you see here. It became part of the budget bill, House Bill 30, which went into effect July 1st. So I'm not going to read it all, but I wanted to put the language up there for you. So beginning after January 1st, 2022, the first year, there's a $10,000 subtraction, $20,000 the next year, 30, and then 40. And right now, this is for individuals age 55 and older. I also wanted to highlight it includes military retirement income, but there are some other benefits that are in the language to include benefits paid to the surviving spouse of a veteran of the armed forces under the Survivor Benefit Plan program. So if you're looking for the language in this legislation, you can find it in the budget bill, House Bill 30. So that was really great news. Okay. And just a handful of other legislative initiatives and proposals that went through the General Assembly. Teacher licensure by reciprocity, House Bill 230 and Senate Bill 154. The teacher licensure by reciprocity was already in existence for the spouse of an active duty member, but this legislation extended that to the spouse of a reserve member or member of the National Guard to gain their teacher licensure through reciprocity, as long as they've held an active license in another state. The hunting and fishing license, the fishing license is freshwater fishing. So this also was a benefit. It was a benefit for veterans who were rated 100% permanent in total. But through this legislation, veterans who are rated at least 30% qualify or may qualify for some reduced costs with their license. And this is a lifetime license. So for veterans rated at least 30% who are residents of Virginia, a license can cost $100. And it all depends on what kind of license folks get, but I just wanted to highlight that they've now provided some cost reduction to folks at least 30% or higher. There were a few license plate bills that went through. I highlight those. The disabled veteran license plate that's issued to a disabled vet can be transferred to an unremarried surviving spouse. This is not one of the plates that allows folks to park in a disabled parking spot. That's not the same, but there's some language that I can clarify for you if you have questions. And then the creation of a Navy Marine Corps Relief Society Fund. This is a revenue sharing license plate. After the first 1,000 registrations, then every $25 after that, 15 of that will go to the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society for operations here in Virginia. That is a great fund of dollars for our Navy and Marine Corps team who might be struggling with issues at times during their careers. So that will go into to be used by the society. And then the commercial driver's license legislation, it directs the Department of Transportation to work with several state agencies to promote opportunities for commercial driver's license. One of those state agencies is ours, the Department of Veteran Services. So we'll be working with the Department of Transportation, the Department of Labor, and other agencies to develop opportunities for veterans and military members to obtain their commercial driver's license. We're always looking for pathways to employment for our veterans. One thing I wanted to mention, also, we have a military spouse liaison who also works with our military spouses and helps connect them with employment opportunity, and a women veterans coordinator who works with our women veterans, so to extend and open pathways for employment. So this was a great piece of legislation, and we're working on that as we speak. I work with 2 citizen boards, the Board of Veteran Services. They are made up of 15 citizen members and 7 legislative members. They work hard with our agency to monitor policies and strategies to work on behalf of Virginia veterans. They're currently in the process of service lines on point of contact reports to identify efforts in our strategies and policies that we can enhance so we can further benefit, veterans in the state of Virginia. And the Joint Leadership Council, that's made up of 22 veteran service organizations. I heard some of you represent veteran service organizations such as MOA. Each of those VSOs have a member on the council, and I wanted to highlight that this council works every year on legislative initiatives that they bring before the General Assembly. Last year, their #1 priority was the suicide prevention coordinator. This year, they're in the process of developing their priorities. They'll get those together, adopt them, and prioritize them. In the September timeframe, they'll present those to the Board of Veteran Services, and then they'll start working to find patrons for their legislative initiatives and work that all the way through the General Assembly section. And they've been very successful in their efforts to do those things. So next slide. I know there's more legislation. If you have questions, please feel free to send me an email and I'll do my best to answer them. The other thing I work a lot here is the tax exemption, the real property tax exemption for veterans rated 100% permanent total and their surviving spouses. And we don't work the personal property tax exemption, but I help to answer questions on those. There was a bill that went through to extend the real property tax exemption to surviving spouses of members who died in the line of duty. That bill passed. It just gave the option right now for counties to offer that to surviving spouses at some lower cost rate, but that will take a constitutional amendment to change, and the JLC, I think they are working on that this year as well. I hope that was helpful, Letty. Again, thank you for allowing me to be here. We are always here. I'm happy to answer questions, or you can please feel free to email and I will answer questions that way as well.
Donna, I understand you have a question, please.
Yes, thank you. And Ms. Flores, thank you very much for your presentation. For the exemption of military income, does that include the share received by former spouses, or is it only the service member?
For the legislation that just passed,
Correct.
yes, ma'am, I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that and get an answer back to you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone, the JLC that that Ms. Flores spoke about, that's the organization where if you see a need for some legislative change within Virginia, that's sort of your starting point. That's your entry into the system as far as contacting MOA or one of the many other members that are the American Legion is a member. Pretty much most all the veteran service organizations have one member on that JLC. And the idea is you go to them and you say, hey, here's something that we think should be, and all these other states do it, why don't we? That's a great starting point, because then if they think it's a viable option, they then will work that issue for you. So just wanted to put that a little bit out there. And then Claudia, on the commercial driver's license, is there going to be some kind of a benefit? Like if somebody was a truck driver in the military, will they be able to, I don't know how that's going to work. Are they going to then just give them maybe a test and they don't have to go through a whole course if they've done it? Driving trucks in Afghanistan is not an easy task. What kind of opportunity does that lead for the service member?
That is a great question, and I appreciate that. We are working right now to develop what those opportunities will look like, and we're working with those agencies that do commercial driver's license. But I take your point, and I will talk to our folks that are developing that, because I think that would be a really good point to make. It kind of lines up with what we do with military medics and corpsmen, where we've taken those folks who have experience that are getting out of the military and connecting them with health related industries. So I thank you for that, Letty, and I'll make a point of that.
And perhaps, while we're at it, there's a lot, I don't know of any police departments in Virginia that's not short personnel. And I think there's some good transition between, folks coming out that are military police or who've done, or air police, or folks who've done security, even though they were not officially police officers in the military, that maybe there's some way we can expedite those kind of transitions for folks.
Yes, absolutely. I know we have great support. We just had a Women Veterans Summit, and we had the police department, members of the Richmond, I think, police department. They were there at the summit. So you're right. That would be a great transition.
Any other questions? We will make those slides available to everybody. But does anyone else have any questions about this? That tax exemption is starting this year if you are a retiree over 55, right? 55. And you're getting retirement benefits, 10,000 of that. You can deduct, or not deduct, you can exempt from tax for the Commonwealth of Virginia. Claudia, thank you so much. I'm sure there'll be more questions later. You're more than welcome to stay with us. We're really pleased to have you, and thank you again so very much. Moving on.